ladies, I had recorded a video by request about our specific experience with our IUI, and it got too long to update from my phone. So I am just going to go straight into it. I do want to apologize. Not apologize. I just want to mention that I feel humongous, and I feel like my face looks really huge. So if you notice that, you don't need to mention it, because I already feel that way. Anyway, I'm going to try and not talk at superhuman speeds, because then nobody can understand me, but I am going to try and get through this as quickly as possible and not get sidetracked. Not get sidetracked, yeah, right. Okay, so first of all, I will get into this part more specifically in another video, but I am not sure whether I ovulated on Thursday or Friday, but my IUI was timed very well because my cervix was still very open, even if I had ovulated Thursday night. So we are not worried particularly about the timing of the IUI. And like I said, I'll get more into that in another video. But we had our IUI last Friday, so I am 7DP IUI. And the time for hubby to give his sample contribution, whichever term you want to use, he had to give it at 7:30. And they are pretty strict on what time the men are able to drop off their portion, their contribution. So we live about 40 minutes away from our RE office, and so it was up to us whether he did his part at home and brought it in, did an at-home collection, or did an in-office collection. But he brought it up himself. I was very proud. He just kind of said, you know, I know that sperm die rather quickly when they're not in optimal conditions, so I would rather just do it there, even though it's more awkward. I'm just worried that it will affect the number, the amount, the quality, blah, blah, blah. And he thinks it did affect it a little bit, but we're still not worried, which I'll get into in a minute. So he dropped that off at 7:30, and then my IUI was at 11:45. I had triggered on Wednesday night at 7:30 because I was supposed to trigger between 6 and 9, and I just split the difference. God, there's like light there, light there. There's just no good light for this. So I apologize. So I got there at 11:40. I had been meaning to get there, I don't know, 11:35, but excuse me, I have cat hair on my nose. Anyway, so I had been meaning to get there about 10 minutes before my appointment, but it didn't work out that way, which is fine. I got there, checked in, and they got me right back, which was really nice. Usually, because it's an RE office, there's a wait. But they got me right back, and they said, okay, where's your husband? Because if he's going to be here, then, and they knew he was planning on being there, but she said, you know, if he's planning on being here, he needs to get here. We're ready. It's like, oh, okay, you're ready. So the nurse came in, and she gave me his specimen, and she said, okay, you need to keep that warm, either in your hands or between your cleavage. And I said, okay. So I started out holding it, you know, in my hand, keeping it warm, but I was holding it so tight because I was so worried about keeping it warm and keeping spermies alive that I was holding it really tight. My hand was getting tired, so eventually I put it in between my cleavage, and I just like clamped my boobs together as tight as I could, and I just sat there like holding my arms together so that my boobs were like wrapped around. It was so ridiculous. I was determined. So then she came in and she said, oh, look who I found wandering around. And so hubby was officially there. And at that point? So she handed us a fact sheet about his specimen, and then she said the doctor will go over that with you when she comes in. Doctor came in. She asked to see the vial to make sure that it was my name, his name, right date, everything was properly put onto it, which it was. And then she went over the fact sheet with us, and he was all bummed because he was like, I was so nervous, or not nervous, I was so just like self-conscious about getting myself off in a bathroom, because he didn't realize that they have rooms for the dads-to-be that are too far away for him to do what he needed to do, and that he did his part in one of the private bathrooms. My husband. He was like, I was just kind of self-conscious about doing that in a bathroom, in public, so I just kind of, like, I didn't get as much as I thought it was going to. Like, okay, whatever. So it doesn't matter anyway, because he had more than, I think it was pre-wash, it was like 30-something million sperm, which is actually lower for him. And, you know, when he asked, the doctor gave him all sorts of, you know, it could be this, that, the other thing, but that's more than enough. I'm not worried at all. That is a great sample. And he's like, okay. And post-wash, he had 27.8 million sperm, which is really good. They just look for over 8. 8 is good, and anything over is excellent, and there were 27.8 million. So, good sample, hubby. And then their speed was nearly off the charts, basically. It was right at the very top of the chart for speed. Directionality, over 90% were modal, over 90% had good morphology, over 90% had good shape, and I think it was 90% even had good directionality. So it was a really good sample. And by speed, I think they look for, I think it was like 20 units a second or something, and his were swimming at 104 units a second. Yeah, 104. So, of course, that made hubby get all, a man, but, you know, whatever. So then she had me lay back. She put in the speculum, which was warm and kind of nice. I've never had a warmed up speculum, so that was just kind of the thought. And then she put in the catheter, and she kept asking me the whole way, is that cramping? Are you hurting? Is it okay? I was like, yep, it hardly feels like anything. I can feel it going up through my cervix, but it doesn't matter. It's not painful or whatever. And then she said, okay, I'm going to hit the top of your uterus. I just hit the top of your uterus. Did that hurt? Are you cramping? I said, nope. I hardly felt it. Which, of course, then I was like, well, does that mean when I am pregnant and baby starts kicking, am I, like, not going to feel it? And she's like, no, that's not necessarily what that means, because you'll be a lot more sensitive, blah, blah, blah. So, we'll see. And then she said, okay, now I'm going to veer it to the left and inject, and she injected it, and that was fine. And then she said, okay, I'm going to keep it here kind of like a plug. We can also see if any swim out. Nothing came out. Absolutely nothing came out, so that's good. And then she took it out. That didn't hurt at all either, and she had me sit there for 10 minutes, and I sat there for 15, and that was it. So before this video gets too long, I'm going to cut it short, but that was our experience. It was really easy, nothing painful at all, nothing even uncomfortable. And afterward, I was happy enough to say, well, babe, that was good for me. Was it good for you? So, yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below or inbox me, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.